Happy Pride Month, y'all, and I'm back with talking about Monster High. You know, back when Generation 3 started in 2022, the team at Mattel brought back a slogan from G1 times: be yourself, be unique, be a monster. It's probably their best slogan, lasting about 5 years until Generation 2 happened. It's a slogan that encapsulates core ideas of individuality and inclusivity. Everyone is welcomed at Monster High. One can see how that can naturally include the queer LGBT+ community. But back in G1's time, we didn't really get official representation. There were some attempts to have queer characters, but it seems Mattel would say it wasn't the right time for it. Nowadays, Generation 3 has been a bit more open on queer representation, in particular with Frankie and their crush on Cleo in a Nickelodeon cartoon. I do plan on covering that show, and I'm watching season 1 right now, but it appears that Mattel is also looking to rectify the past by giving us new G1 stories exploring queer relationships. Or, you know, they just know that they can get money from us. Today I'm going to be looking at the Monster High Pride comic that releases June 5th. I was able to buy an early physical copy to read it. I also know that you can get the comic off of Google Play Books, as well as Amazon for the Kindle. I'll go over some of the spoiler-free information first before I get into summarizing the stories. This comic was published by IDW Publishing, edited by Riley Farmer, production and design by Joanna Natalie, and lettering from Kielamel Sabal. There's 2 different covers for this comic, variant A done by Betsy Cola and variant B by Sally Gottfried. No matter which version you get, you'll have 2 main stories to read. First, we have a Claudine Wolf and Torlai Stripe story called Summer Fangout, written by Hannah Templer, art by Siobhan Keenan, and colors by Rebecca Nalty. The synopsis reads as follows. Claudine and Torlai are claws over tails for each other, but their summer DIY project and a group of mischievous gnomes is threatening the ghouls' relationship. Meanwhile, Ghoulie is writing fanfiction and is on the verge of starting a shipping war. Okay, look, I think the synopsis is kinda misleading, especially the Ghoulia part. I'd say that's just completely wrong, unless I misunderstood something. I'll explain more later, but for now just know that this Toradeen story is 20 pages and it's very cute. This is a slice of life kind of story. There's this problem with some gremlins, but it's all pretty low stakes. Claudine and Torlai as a couple are very cute together. Maybe too cute given their history in G1. Put a pin on that for later. But overall, I didn't hate this story. I liked it well enough. If you're a Toradeen fan, or just a fan of the idea of Claudine getting a girlfriend, well, your mileage may vary with this story. You might like it for what it is, or you would have wished it was handled a bit differently. The second story is I Put a Spell on You, focusing on Karen Ballantine and Speldon Caldronello. It's written by Megan Brown, art by Bowen McCurdy, and colors by Bex Glendening. The synopsis reads, Karen Ballantine thinks love sucks. He enlists the help of his very cute biology partner, Speldon Caldronello, to create a potion that will drain him of the feeling forever. But after spending time with Speldon, will he have the guts to follow through? This story is half the length of the first one, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's to the point, focusing on, I think their ship name is Spellentine, and on Ballantine himself as a character. If you know Ballantine's trajectory in the series, you'll know that a story like this was long time coming. I enjoyed the story and I think others will too, especially if you're a Ballantine fan. I like seeing these 2 boys going from friends that low-key probably are crushing on each other to an actual couple. Could it have been a longer story? Probably yeah, but it works as is. Alright, with that done, time for spoilers. So this is your warning, okay? I'm going through both stories and summarizing things in detail. Now, the first thing I'm gonna say about this comic is something I realized while writing my script notes. It's the fact that there's no kissing in either of the stories. Neither Toradeen or Spellentine share an on-page kiss. I mean, sure, they're both affectionate couples, they're holding hands, they've got longing gazes, they nuzzle together. But the closest we get to a kiss, you flip the page and suddenly the story skips in time. I don't know, am I weird for thinking about this? It's just, it feels oddly chaste to do. So yeah, that's just a general thing I noticed. But now let's talk about Toradeen. If you're wondering how this werewolf and werecat got together, well, you're gonna have to keep wondering because the story opens and they're already a couple. It's summer break and the two girls are at the wolf family's backyard. They've got a little picnic set out and Claudine is painting her girlfriend's nails. Like I said, it's all very cute slice of life vibes. Isn't summer the beast, Claudine? Lounging in sunbeams, no ghoul work or extra peculiar assignments. Endless possibilities. I'd love it even more if you would hold still, Toralei. The girls are bored and want to go somewhere fun. After throwing some ideas around, they decide they want to set up a little relaxation spot in the woods and invite their friends. But Claude has a warning for them. In the woods? But don't you know about the curse? Oh, here we go. I'm furious. One time I was out there practicing and I accidentally threw my casket ball over the fence. But when I went to get it, it was climbing a tree all by itself. The couple ignore him and they head off into the forest. Meanwhile, at I think Gulia's house, we see the zombie girl playing some kind of fighting game. She's playing against Kirsty Trollson, a gamer girl troll who got dolled back in G1 as part of the student exchange line. It's cool to see such a minor character here. The two girls are talking and we learn that they both write fan fiction of their favorite characters from this game. Ha! Nika Romancer doesn't hold a candlestick to Barb, and the lurks on my latest Fang fiction prove it. Here, I'll hex you a link. See? Over 2,000 lurks and almost 300 favorites. Why, more than all of the other stories, including that Nika Romancer Fang fiction right below it. Oh, I didn't notice that was your story, Gulia. I grudgingly admit the writing is excellent. But Nika's stats are simply inferior. This is where I say that the synopsis straight up lied because there's no shipping war going on. There's no indication that Gulia or Kirsty are writing about their favorite pairings from this game, so there's no war to start about shipping. Gulia just likes a less popular fighting game character. Back with Claudine and Toralei, they've found a great spot to set up their little hangout area. Wow, yeah, this is clawsome, and it'll be even more fierce after a Claudine Toralei Scream makeover. Oh, I can just see it now. We can put the Firemander pit over here, and the spider hammocks up on these trees. Okay, kitten, you take the other end, and I'll... Ooh, and the parasols over here. We'll have this done in no time. Is it cringy or cute to call your girlfriend kitten when she's a werecat? Is it like calling her baby girl? So yeah, we also see this little creature show up and steal the hammer that Claudine brought. And this is the setup for the girls' little conflict. Toralei is just all over the place, not really focusing on one thing, while Claudine gets frustrated because they're not working together properly. And meanwhile, you have these mystery creatures just taking their stuff. I just thought couples were supposed to be good at this stuff. I mean, we should be able to work on this together, you know? We are working together, if you would just keep up. So the two of them decide to head to a Howlware store because all of their supplies mysteriously disappeared and they don't really question it. We flip back to Gulia and Kirsty for a page. All you need to know is that Kirsty wrote a new update of her fanfic that is a Barb versus Nika chapter. And no, this isn't some kind of enemies to lovers fanfic. After that little pointless interruption, we return to Claudine and Toralei at the Howlware store, where they run into another couple of lesbians. Actually, we don't know Claudine or Toralei's sexual identities. It's not like we really need labels for this story. We can just say that they're in a sapphic relationship. But it does make me think about how there are fans who have wanted Claudine to be explicitly a lesbian for years now. There was even a misunderstanding floating around that supposedly one of the original concept creators, Garrett Sander, said Claudine was lesbian. I think he actually said that he just supported the idea of Claudine liking girls, but that wasn't the original intent when he was part of the Monster High team. I'm bringing this up because with this comic being the first official time that we see Claudine in a relationship with another girl, I think some fans would have liked a moment where she mentions her sexuality. Maybe just a line or two would be enough. It doesn't have to explicitly use the words bisexual or lesbian either. Like, when Claudine worries about how they don't work well together, she could say something like, "When I dated guys before, things never clicked. Then I started dating you, Toralei, and it all felt so different. But now we're fighting over this project. Maybe I'm the problem." Okay, sorry, I got kind of dramatic at the end there, but I let the fanfic writer in me come out. But just, you know, a line that mentions whether Claudine still likes guys or not could have been nice. So the couple that they meet at the store are original characters for this comic, Jackie Elope and Bridget Roll. They're cute characters, a bubbly jackalope and a stoic troll. Claudine asks for their help and the couple agrees. They buy new supplies and head back to the forest. We get a mini backstory for these OCs. They were classmates in Dead Shop class and Monster High, but they never talked much. Then for their final projects, Bridget showed how she was really skilled with her hands and made this real cool wooden chest. And Jackie just developed a big crush on the other girl ever since. It's a cute couple of panels, which makes me wish we got some kind of flashback to how Toradeen became a couple in this comic. But we don't have time for that because the girls arrive at the forest spot to find it's overrun by little gremlins who have been stealing stuff. They even have Claude's casket ball. It's okay though. Bridget happens to have gremlin neighbors and can speak their language, so the little critters calm down. We get a little montage of the four girls working together. There's this cute panel of Claudine and Toralei giving each other flirty looks. They kind of look like they're about to kiss, but that doesn't happen. Then Bridget says she's gonna go, but she'll be back later, and Jackie just lets her go. This leaves Claudine and Toralei a bit confused. Aren't couples supposed to enjoy everything together? Huh, I used to get insecure about stuff like that. But then I started asking myself where those expectations came from and thinking about what's really important to me. Jackie goes on to talk about how she and Bridget may have their differences, but they have learned how to trust and communicate with each other. Maybe they don't look like the perfect couple, but they're not trying to prove their love to anyone. It's all kind of cheesy and a bit on the nose, kind of like a kid's show that tells you the lesson you're supposed to learn at the end of the episode. But you know, these are still nice sentiments to express. I'm not too sure if all of that exactly applies to Toradeen's situation. We only really saw the one little fight, and to me it's not enough to see if they're an actual opposites attract kind of relationship. I do get the impression that Claudine and Toralei are probably recently dating and they're in like this honeymoon phase. I think that would explain why they worry so much about couples working together and always being together. But we really don't know in this story. Bridget ends up returning later with a present for the gremlins. Also, she gets a little cheek kiss from Jackie, which is cute, but like I said earlier, what about the main couple of the story? If you're wondering about Ghoulia's B-plot, Kirsty actually shared Ghoulia's fanfic with some of her audience who like the same character as Ghoulia does, and got her a ton of likes and comments. Good for Ghoulia, but this side plot was not what I expected from the synopsis. And honestly, I think it just should have been axed from the comic. Claudine invites her best friends to the forest hangout as a surprise. I guess Toralei didn't invite Persephone and Meowlody. A bunch of the main girls show up, except for Draculaura, which is weirdly pointed out in the comic by Frankie. Oh, it's a shame Draculaura didn't answer her phone. She would have loved this. I don't know why this is mentioned. Are they trying to imply something with Draculaura? Or did they forget about Draculaura or just not have space on the page to draw her, so they just like tacked on that line to justify not having her? The comic ends on a panel of our two sapphic couples cuddling by the fire. Overall, this was, like I said, a cute enough story, even though I was kind of disappointed in some of the execution. I know that these two have gotten some popularity as a couple in G3, but this comic is G1, and last I remember, Toralei was a mean girl and an antagonist in a couple of different stories. Honestly, it's been ages since I watched any G1 stuff, but I can't remember her building any kind of friendship with Claudine. So when did dating come into the picture? It feels like because the ship is getting some attention in G3, Mattel is gonna make it canon in G1 too. But the fans who like Toradeen in G3, they may or may not like it in G1. At least, they may not like it for how it's portrayed in this comic. Of course, some fans may still enjoy the story just for the cute sapphic moments, and there's no harm in that. However, there is a part of me that feels I came out of reading this story liking the OC couple a little more. For our next story, let me talk a little bit about Kieran Ballantine and his history throughout Generation 1. I think most fans have heard of this, but for those that don't know, he started out as the main antagonist in the movie Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love as Draculaura's ex-boyfriend. Then a few years later, he got a limited doll in a 2-pack for San Diego Comic-Con. Like most other G1 dolls, he came with a diary, which chronicles the start of his path to redemption, and it's also where we learn of Spellentine for the first time. Ballantine shows up in another comic later, still trying to redeem himself, but I haven't read that one. But what's important here is the diary, because in 2020, Garrett Sander, during a Q&A on Instagram, talks about how Ballantine was planned as a gay character and was meant to come out in that diary, but Mattel did not allow for that story. Now, almost a decade since that diary was released, we have a story with these two boys. This is also Spellentine's first ever character appearance in any other media besides the diary. Our story opens with Ballantine on video chat with Wisp, the other character who was in the limited 2-pack with him and actually became his first ever friend according to the diary. He's planning to talk to Draculaura and ask if they can become friends, only to get slammed by a locker and fall on the floor. It's okay, he picks himself up. Would you like to be my friend? I'm sorry for everything. Darling Draculaura, would you do me the honor of accompanying me to a show so that we may try to rekindle our friendship? Ballantine, I'm sorry, but I can't. I think you're supposed to read Draculaura's reaction as her still being a bit wary of Ballantine's intentions, but the excuse given is that she has a lot of work to do and no time to hang out. Regardless of what her feelings are, Ballantine is left heartbroken, and we move to later in the day in the middle of Bitology class, where he's still thinking about his screw-up until Spellentine snaps him out of it. You look like you weren't paying attention. I was so paying attention. Lapdragon's great. Got it. What's with the rose garden anyway? Nothing. It doesn't matter. It's not proof of my failure or anything. Pretty proof. Spellentine seems like a pretty chill dude. We don't get to know too much about him in the story, but he takes Ballantine's theatrics in stride. Maybe if the story was a little longer, we could have gotten to know him a little better and maybe learn some of his interests. I mean, the comic doesn't even mention that he's the little brother of their world's Beyonce. Yeah, Costa Fierce is the stage name for Costa Caldronello. I'm pretty sure this was only ever mentioned by Garrett Sander on Instagram though, so it would have been nice to establish the family connection in some official media. Maybe in the future Spellentine ever gets to be in other stories, or he gets a doll. Ballantine is burned out on love. He already made a mess with romantic love in his movie appearance, and now friendship love is causing him problems too. You know, you'd think I'd be better at emotions. I'm an emotional vampire. But no. What has my love for Draculaura brought me? Nothing but pain and suffering. You still love Draculaura? Well, yes, of course. As a friend, I kind of figured out that I don't like ghouls in that way. Oh, like. You know what I mean. I do like this little moment. It makes it clear that Valentine isn't interested in girls in a romantic sense. It's silly how he says like rather than love, but it suits his awkward self. And we can assume he was dealing with compulsory heterosexuality for over 1,000 years. Technically, Valentine doesn't say here that he's into guys, but we'll see that at the very least, he likes Spelden in that way. We don't learn Spelden's exact sexuality. However, I like to think that his little hair dye streaks are meant to represent part of the bi flag. Since Spelden is a witch, Valentine gets the brilliant idea that magic may be able to help his predicament. This is a terrible idea. A potion to stop me from feeling love is not a terrible idea. In fact, it sounds like an absolutely perfect idea. Besides, you said you'd help me. They find a recipe and the next few pages are the boys going on essentially 3 little dates while collecting potion ingredients. Look at Spelden smoothly asking if Valentine is free to watch a movie. I also really love when they go to a mausoleum and there's these little chibi drawings that show how it's obvious Spelden wanted to scare Valentine and look like a hero. You know, I take back a little bit what I said earlier about not knowing much about Spelden. We see that he's cunning, but it's not really malicious. I think it suits him as a child of Circe. Besides, Spelden's little plan doesn't work anyway, and he ends up getting hit in the head. But now they have all the ingredients, and the potion is complete, except Valentine is second-guessing himself. And if I go through with this, then I really won't feel anything at all, huh? And you know, I felt really bad during the whole stink incident, but afterwards, well, it helped me figure some stuff out. Then Spelden just chugs down the potion and scares Valentine half to death. Or I guess undeath. But it's okay, it was never a magic potion to begin with, it was just a mocktail. I can't believe I fell for it. Why'd you even agree to help me in the first place? Because I like hanging out with you. Look at him gasp, it's so funny. Well, I guess that's good because I like hanging out with you too. We get this panel that looks like they're about to kiss, and immediately we jump forward in time to the boys walking down the school halls. Draculaura stops them and she apologizes for earlier. She says there's just a lot happening right now. Is she talking about her schoolwork again, or is it still implying something? I don't know. I'm still overthinking about how she wasn't in the Toradeen story. Take all the time you need, Drac. You're my friend. I'll still be here. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's different about you, Kieran Valentine. Yeah, he's got a boyfriend now. Can't you tell they're holding hands? The story ends with the boys walking off hand in hand while Valentine's phone is ringing. It's Wisp calling cause she wants to meet Spelden eventually. I did really enjoy the story for continuing Kieran's journey of understanding himself. The writer also references past events. There's the movie, of course, but also the shelter he worked at for a while in his diary gets brought up. They also mention his southern accent at one point. I kind of wish the text bubbles were a little different to show when he's using the accent. It's not really needed because you can tell when he starts calling others darlin' and dropping the G sound, but I don't know, I think it would have been a cute visual change. I'm also gonna nitpick a little because I do remember Valentine being quite tall in the movie, but here he's shorter than Spelden, but who knows, they could both be really tall, or it's just a stylistic choice. So that's the end of the Monster High Pride comic. I hope you all got something out of this video. Let me know in the comments, are you picking up this comic? Which story did you prefer? If there's something you'd change or add to either story, what would it be? If this video is received well enough, I'm thinking of picking up another G1 comic that's planning to release this August. It's actually a series called New Scaremester. I know I got a preview for Free Comic Book Day, which I haven't read. So if you liked how I covered this comic, let me know if you want me to cover that other series as well. Like I said earlier, I'm watching season 1 of the G3 cartoon and jotting down notes for a future video. I'm hoping to release it this month as well, so fingers crossed I commit to that. But I'm a G3 fan so far, if you're wondering. And that's about it. One day I'll figure out a decent outro, but for now it's just bye bye.